it's Clemmy from the NARM Clinic, and today I want to talk about probiotics and also probiotics and inflammatory bowel disease. So I get asked about probiotics a lot in clinic, and I also get asked in all the companies that I go into. It's one of the questions that comes up most frequently. So I wanted to answer some common questions and hopefully clear up any confusion for you. So I'm going to be covering briefly what is a probiotic, how can probiotics help us, and should you be taking a probiotic? Now, this video is a kind of brief overview of a more in-depth article that I've written on my website. So if you want more information, then please go and head over there and read the full article. So first of all, what is a probiotic? So a probiotic is basically a live microbe or bacteria that, when given in a specific dose, is meant to be beneficial for us and have a beneficial impact. So there are many different types of probiotics, and they all have very complex names. But what you need to know is that each different type does quite a specific job. So an analogy to help understand that is that probiotics can be likened to breeds of dogs. So all dogs come from the same species, but each breed varies in shape, size, strength, and what they can do as jobs. So in the same way that we use different breeds of dogs for different jobs, we use different strains of bacteria for different medical conditions and goals. So, for example, you wouldn't use a Chihuahua for crowd control. You'd need a German Shepherd or a Doberman for that. And similar with probiotics, we need to make sure that we're using the right bacterial strains for the specific condition that we're trying to impact and to improve. And that may be inflammatory bowel disease. So what's also important here to know is that not everyone should necessarily be taking a probiotic, and probiotics have shown that they're not always helpful, particularly in inflammatory bowel disease. And it really depends on the type of IBD you have, the location of the inflammation, and other factors that come into play there as well. So second question is, how can probiotics help us? So probiotics, despite the common misconception, don't actually repopulate or reseed the gut. They just confer benefits as they pass through our intestine. So they produce substances along the way, which are beneficial to us. They interact with our immune cells in our gut on the way. They interact with the gut cells. They also feed on dietary fibre. And they also can interact a bit with the microbes that are already living in our gut. So they help us by modulating our immune system. They can help to keep harmful bugs out and at bay. They can aid digestion and breaking down the food that we can't, i.e. fibre. And they also can produce various vitamins. They may also be able to help us manage different digestive symptoms and conditions. Now, that's just a brief overview, and there's lots of other things that we think that they can do. So, lastly, should you be taking a probiotic? Now, I wish that it was black and white and I could say yes or no, but unfortunately it's a bit more grey and a bit more complicated. The short answer is it totally depends on you. It depends on the condition you're living with, where you are in that cycle of the disease. Are you in remission? Are you in a flare-up? And also what you want to achieve. But if you are generally fit and healthy, then you probably don't need to take a probiotic. So if you do want to take a probiotic, or you feel like you need to, then there are 3 things that I want you to consider and think about when you're doing that. And I came up with a little acronym SAS. So strain, amount, and safety. And I'm going to run through those ones briefly. So strain, as I've already touched on, we really need to make sure that we're using the specific strain that has been shown to be effective for the condition that we're trying to deal with. Number 2, amount. So we need to make sure that the product that we're using contains the right amount. So at the beginning I said that when we define probiotics, we need to make sure that it's in a specific amount that's going to have a benefit for us. So we need to make sure that it contains the amount of that bacteria or those microbes that have shown to be successful in the studies. So what the unit that we use in probiotics is CFU. You'll see that on the label of any probiotics you pick up, hopefully. And that's colony forming units. So that's the number of viable bacteria that you'll find in that product. And most successful probiotic research that's been done shows that the dose is equal to or greater than 10 to the 9 colony forming units per dose. So we need to make sure that we're getting that amount in it. And the third one is safety. So probiotics are safe for most people, but it's really important that you talk to your doctor or your gastroenterologist if you are on any type of immune suppressing or compromising medications. So something like azathioprine or cyclosporin. If you're on any of those kind of immunosuppressant medications, then it's really important that you just get sign off from your doctor because these are bacteria that we're putting into our body and we don't want any adverse effects from that. So just to finish off, there's so many different probiotics there. If you go to Holland & Barrett or you go to any kind of health food store or online, there are hundreds of different probiotics on the market, but there are actually only a really small handful of products that have been shown in good quality trials to have an impact. And there's, it's really, really important that you take that. Otherwise, I think that you're just going to be wasting your money. So I would ask, do some research yourself, ask someone like me, or go and ask your gastroenterologist and make sure that you're buying a product that's really going to be effective so that you're not wasting your money or potentially causing harm. Now, the last thing I just wanted to come on to, which we'll link to next week's video, is talking about probiotic foods. So there's a lot of confusion around probiotic foods and probiotic supplements. Probiotic foods are actually fermented foods. They are not officially allowed to be called probiotics because even though they contain bacteria, we don't know in what quantities or what composition, so they may not have a specific benefit as a supplement would do. However, they do still offer us benefit. Now, it's a whole different topic in itself, and I want to cover that with you next week. So please tune in next week and I will see you then. Thanks.